All right, this is the copyright disclaimer. The copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Fair use, fair use, fair use.
Is a message for my single moms. Please do not let anybody tell you that raising your child in a one-parent household is somehow a bad thing. That's bullshit, okay? And I'm gonna tell you why. My son, first of all, it's been me and my son ever since he was born. It's always just been me and him. He has his dad in his life. I'm with him full time. He is the most well-behaved kid ever. I mean, I get compliments all the time about Dion is the sweetest. Dion's so respectful. Dion's so well behaved. And he doesn't have a two-parent household. I don't think it matters if a kid is raised in a two-parent household or a one-parent household. What matters is the values that you instill in your child and how you treat your child and your guys' bond and relationship. That's what's important. That is what makes character and builds character, not because of the fact that they have a one or two parent household. What? He's actually perfectly fine. Don't let anybody tell you that your kid's gonna turn out wrong if they're not in a two parent household. Bruh. No. Do what's best for you and what works for your life, and fuck the rest of these people.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 22, verse 6, and it reads, Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Giving all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rahak HaKadosh. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well in teaching me this 100% truth. Salutations to them and my fellow Archim who labor in this truth week in and week out on the highways and byways. Also, salutations to the hopeful elect of the scattered 12 tribes of Israel, scattered to the four corners of the earth, that be like unto the speckled bird, also known as your Israelite foreigners, and your so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. To you, I say Shalom. This is your brother Ayashar Barzal from the Indianapolis branch of the Great Millstone, coming back at you with another lesson that is edifying to the elect body of the nation of Israel. All right. There's a lot of hot air coming out of that woman. Now, um, she said a whole lot, but she's wrong. You made them together. You're supposed to raise them together, especially in this instance. Now, she could be a Jake. She could be, but I don't think so. But when she gave the son's name Dion, I I had to go look at her page, and yes, the kid is a Jake. Yeah, you can tell. I don't want to show his picture here out of respect, but it is a Jake. And some of the stuff she was saying, and it eerily reminds me of what happened in Ezra and Nehemiah. You had those wicked Jake leaders marrying those strange women, and the kids didn't even speak the language of their father. You know, and she's the only one around him, and she was wrong on a lot. Recent studies have shown that a single father raising this kid is equal to, if not better than, a two-parent home. Okay, whereas a woman that is just raising the kid on her own, they have all types of trouble, especially the sons. The sons are in jail, and what you have today, called these YNs, that's attributed to these Jake boys being raised by their mama, having that feminine energy. So she's wrong about that. Yeah, it's a kid right now, sweet and all of that, but eventually that kid's going to change. He's going to start asking questions that she's going to have to answer. It never fails. It never fails. And back in the day when both parents were home, I know when I was growing up, hey, I go ask my mother something, her first question was, "What did your father say?" and see, and when I said, well, I didn't ask him, go ask him first and come back and tell me, and you better tell the truth. We both gonna get you. All right. So that's just how it was because my mom understood the order in the home. All right. Same way, I deal with my kids. My boys go ask my wife something. She asked him, well, what'd your father say? Did you ask him? He said no. She said, why not? Because we know he's gonna say no. But in any case, that's just the order of stuff. It's respect of things, the order of the home. That's a divine order that Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai established. It's the Father, Yahweh, our Lord, Yahweh Shai, the man, and then the woman. All right? That's how it's supposed to go. Now, up to us, while he's a little kid like that, she's supposed to teach the children that's at home. But at a certain point, that boy gonna start asking some questions, and want to know some things. And that's what a father, he's there the whole time, but at a certain age, it's really gonna take hold where that boy has to listen to that father all the time. That means no disrespect to the mother, but as the scriptures go, and the Christian church always had this wrong. They would say, honor your mother and your father. No, it's the other way around. Honor your father and your mother. Okay? Because the father is responsible for teaching the mother and the kids. I just read Proverbs 22:6. He's responsible for to teaching the kids. All right? And the scriptures say if a woman learned anything, she learned from her husband who was at home. All right? So that burden of teaching is on the father. You had Cornelius, when that man is righteous, his whole household is blessed. All right. But here in this situation, man, this is what you see about this is the whole result of the empowerment of women, and it's going to get to a point when that testosterone that boy becomes of age, she may have some problems because she was soft with him. All right. And that's not supposed to be the case. But as the scriptures say, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Okay? That's because the father will always be teaching. Let me prove that. This is Deuteronomy chapter 4. And I'm going to start from the top. All right. It says, now therefore hearken, O Israel, unto the statutes and unto the judgments which I teach you, for to do them, that ye may live, and go in and possess the land which Yahweh thy power of your fathers giveth you. All right, this is Moses speaking to the congregation. Verse 2 says, ye shall not add unto the word which I command you, neither shall ye diminish aught from it, that ye may keep the commandments of Yahweh your power, which I command you. Okay, you're not supposed to be adding or taking away to the word. There's a penalty for that. We know that according to Revelations chapter 22, verse 18 and 19. You add, he's going to add terrible stuff onto you. You take away, he's going to take you out of the Lamb's Book of Life. Point blank, period. You can go read that. That's roughly paraphrasing, but you can read that yourself. It's very clear. Revelation chapter 22, verses 18 and 19. It says, verse 3, your eyes have seen what Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai did because of Baal Peor. For all the men that follow Baal Peor, Yahweh thy power have destroyed them from among you. Okay, and that's idolatry, worshiping other gods. All right. It says, but ye that did cleave unto Yahweh your power are alive, every one of you, this day. And that just proves, you keep the commandments, you live, you turn away from them, you're going to die. All right. It says, but behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as Yahweh by power commanded me, that ye should do so in the land whither ye go to possess. Verse 6, keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear these statutes and say, surely This great nation is a wise and understanding people. And see that's the thing, you know. The laws, statutes, and commandments separate us from every other nation on earth, the other 17 nations. All right. And what's that? Ezra's 5. I think first or second Ezra's 5. I'll get it straight to the point. Maybe second Ezra's 5 and 23, right around there. 27, yeah, second Ezra's 5 and 27. Just going straight to the point. He says, and among all the multitudes of the people, thou hast gotten thee one people, that's the Israelites. And unto this people whom thou lovest, thou gavest a law that is approved of all. Okay, that's Psalms 147, verse 19 and 20. All right, he showeth his word and statutes unto Jacob. He has not done so with any other nation. Roughly paraphrasing. Okay, I'll just grab that too. You know, I don't like quoting and butchering stuff. Psalms 147, 19 and 20. Says, he showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments to Israel. He have not dealt so with any nation. As for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. All right. So yeah, we are a holy people above all nations on the earth with this law. All right. Go back to Deuteronomy chapter 4. Verse 7. And it says, for what nation is there so great, who hath Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai so nigh unto them, as Yahweh our power is in all things that we call upon him for? Verse 8. And what nation is there so great, that hath statutes and judgments so righteous as all this law, which I set before you this day? That's the same law that was mentioned in 2 Ezra 5 and 27. All right. Verse 9. It says, only take heed to thyself and keep thy soul diligently, lest thou forget the things which thine eyes have seen, and lest they depart from all thy heart the days of thy life. But teach them thy sons and thy sons' sons. So that burden of teaching is not only, the son of that father, but it goes to his grandsons. All right. Teaching 2 generations at a time. That's what we're supposed to be doing. And that kid, he's not going to get it. I don't, and that's assuming that number one, the father may not even be in the truth. Okay, but he's a Jake though. This is what's supposed to happen. All right, this is what is supposed to happen. That man is supposed to be there, and that woman, was that Proverbs 9 and 13? Let me grab that. She just has no idea what she's talking about. It says, a foolish woman is clamorous. She is simple and knoweth nothing. And that word foolish means without judgment. Clamorous, she just running her mouth, and she definitely was doing that in that video. She is simple and knoweth nothing. All right? Those studies are not lying. When you got a strong father in the house, I mean, man, it's that kid's going to be right. All right? He's going to be right. Like the scriptures say, you're supposed to chasten your son. Let me grab that in Sirach 30. Or Ecclesiasticus 30. And it's quite a bit here. I remember reading this. I highlighted a bunch of stuff in here. It says, he that loveth his son causeth him oft to feel the rod, that he may have joy of him in the end. Yeah, that son's got to be disciplined. And that mother's going to find that out real quick. Right now, he's all sweet and everything. But, when he start getting around those girls and and friends and stuff, outside influences, yeah, that's where she's going to have a problem. All right. Verse 2, he that chastiseth his son shall have joy in him and shall rejoice of him among his acquaintance. Yep. And I have that right now, with my father. He's almost mid 90s, and we sit around and talking. Hey, I remind him of the things that I learned from him, and he just lights up. Like, you remember that? I'm like, yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Same thing, with my sons. I always tell them, I talk to them when they were in the womb, and tell them, say, hey, at some point in this life, this is when they were young and can understand me. Some point in this life, my role as a father, I'm gonna always be your father, but it's gonna go on autopilot. All right. But there's gonna come a time where, I'm gonna be a mentor and a friend. And the difference about my friendship and the friends that you have outside of this home is that I'm biased. You carry my name, you carry my legacy. All right. I'm gonna give it to you straight. And that's just how you have to be with your sons. And every now and they still talk to mom, but every now and then, when it's the stuff they know mom can't handle, they'll find their way. They will find their way. You got to teach them. All right. And it says, verse 3, it says, he that teacheth his son grieveth the enemy, and before his friends he shall rejoice in him. And this is so true. This is so true right here. First lesson I learned from my father was, he said, son, once you get it right here, he was pointing to his head and talking about wisdom. He said, you can never be manipulated in this world. People have a hard time with you. And look at what I'm doing now. The elites are having a problem, with this word. I have my portion that I'm doing along with the rest of GMS. All right. Amen. We agree with the hell out of them, you know, because we stand boldly in what we say in the name of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. All right. Yeah. So let's see. It's quite a few. Like I said, it's a lot of stuff in this chapter, Sirach 30 and 3. Sirach chapter 30 and Sirach chapter 3. All right. And here's one with regards to, discipline. It's verse 7. It says, he that maketh too much of his son shall bind up his wounds, and his bowels will be troubled at every cry. You can't be calling these boys. You cannot. And that's why if you look at Pride and Lions, once that son get a certain age, that male lion get a certain age, the father kicks him out of the pride. Got to go get your own stuff. All right. It says, a horse not broken become headstrong, and a child left to himself will be willful. And that is what will happen with a lot of these women. These boys are going to do their own thing. Because it comes a certain point, where mama's whoopings and taps don't hurt no more. And then what's she going to do? But it's very important, for that father to be there. Just prove that to you. He's supposed to be teaching, especially those boys. All right? Especially now. I'm going to grab some out of Sirach 3, too. Chapter 3, starting at verse 1. It says, hear me, your father, O children, and do thereafter that ye may be safe. Yeah. Because a man that is, following Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai like he's supposed to, it's going to go well with his household and his children. That commandment, I think that's Exodus 12 or 20. Hold on. Exodus chapter 20, verse 12. Grab that and come back. 20, maybe 12. Time. It says, honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which Yahweh thy power giveth thee. Okay. Keeping the law would have had us immortal. Keeping the law helps us live longer. This is the only other one that comes with a promise. You know, the commandment that comes with a promise. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon you. You're gonna live longer when you pay attention to your parents. You know, under the condition that they are righteous in Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. All right? Go back to that Ecclesiasticus, Sirach chapter 3. It says, for the Lord hath given the father honor over the children, and hath confirmed the authority of the mother over the sons. All right? And when is that? When that child is little. And if that man is gone off to war, you know, she's an authority at that point in time. All right? Verse 3, whoso honoreth his father maketh an atonement for his sins. And, you know, she was talking stuff right now, his father's in his life. But, you know, there's going to come a point in time where that kid could end up being very disrespectful to his father. You know, very disrespectful. And then, hey, you know, again, like I was saying, and referencing back to Nehemiah and Ezra, you know, this is what could potentially happen when you know, get with those strange women. All right. It can happen with ours too now. You know, our own women. You know, you see how things are going with the child support and all that shit. Yeah. So it's, you know, one of those, you gotta, well, first and foremost, to the man, you know, you gotta be very careful who you plant your seed into. That's the first thing. You know, you got to make sure you right with Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. You know, as Sirach 26 and 23 says, a wicked woman is given as a portion to a wicked man, but a godly woman is given unto him that fears the Lord. Okay, so it's on you, the Israelite man, to make sure you doing what's right. All right, have that discernment when it comes to picking women, and you know you know, whoever you put your seed in. All right. It says verse 4, and he that honoreth his mother is one that layeth up a treasure. Verse 5, whoso honoreth his father shall have joy of his own children, and when he maketh his prayer, he shall be heard. All right. So that's, how's he going to have that? Because he's keeping that legacy going on, teaching the law. That son has obviously seen how far obedience has gotten him. He want to push that onto his son. That's why the Lord said, you know, we teach our sons and our sons' sons. All right. Verse 6, he that honoreth his father shall have a long life, and he that is disobedient unto the Lord, Salakia, and he that is obedient unto the Lord shall be a comfort to his mother. That's straightforward. See, it says, honor, when that commandment says, honor thy father and thy mother, and your days will be prolonged. Okay. Reason why it's specific here to the father, because the mother is learning from the husband as well. You're getting the same instruction. Undefiled, you know, unchanging. All right. Verse 7, he that feareth the Lord will honor his father and will do service unto his parents as to his masters. Okay. As to his masters. And those are the ones, you know, who outside of your parents have rule over you. You know, that's your teachers, those who are responsible for you. All right. Verse 8, it says, honor thy father and mother both in word and in deed, that a blessing may come upon thee from them. All right. Straightforward. Straightforward. You know, just like, our Father rewards us when we're obedient to Him, you know, same thing happens with our earthly parents. Okay? It says, verse 9, for the blessing of the father establisheth the houses of children, but the curse of the mother rooteth out foundations. Man, yeah. I'm going to grab that in the G&T. Hold on for a second. I was just looking at that. Okay, Sirach, chapter 3. Man, these ads. Like my elder said once, you people responsible for putting these ads on these Bible apps, the Lord gonna fuck y'all up. Okay. Oh, see there? Crap. Yep. Yeah, now I can't get it out of there. Hold on. Okay, Sirach 3. And that was verse 9. In G&T, 3 and 9 in the G&T says, when parents give their blessing, they give strength to their children's homes. But when they curse their children, they destroy the very foundations. Yeah. Yeah. So, hey, that's pretty much straightforward. So yeah, you gotta do what's right by those kids. What's that? Ephesians 6. It makes that comparison. You know, according to the flesh. Obey your masters. Okay, and then that a lot of people try to use that to say the Bible justified us being in slavery, but no. That whole chapter is about being obedient to those who have rule over us as parents. But it also tells those people who are the masters, remember, you have a master too. Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. All right. So yeah, I didn't want to make this too long, but yeah, old girl, man, she just got it wrong, and that, like I said, that's a Jake kid, and yeah, mostly for the Akim and you men in the truth. We shouldn't be at this point in time having families and stuff. We got to focus on everything, but what you do have, make sure you pouring, especially if you have a situation like this, you pouring into that child's life. All right, because you are their covering. That's been proven. The man is the covering over his household. All right. So with that, I hope this lesson was edifying to the elect body of the nation of Israel. Once again, I'm going to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Raha Kakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and teaching me this 100% truth. Salutations to them and my fellow Akim who labor in this truth week in and week out on the highways and byways. Also, salutations to the hopeful elect of the scattered 12 tribes of Israel, scattered to the four corners of the earth, that be like to the speckled bird, also known as your Israelite foreigners and your so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. To you, I say Shalom, Kwam Yasharala, Abba Babal. We got next. Shalom.